Hello everyone, Gashbad here, and today we are back in Gloomhaven with our continuing solo playthrough of Gloomhaven: Jaws of the Lion. We are up to Scenario 3, and here are the models and terrain that we're going to be using. As before, I've been trying to do a mostly 3D run-through of the game, which means I've been painting my own models and making my own terrain to go with it. As you can see from this picture, I've added a couple more things. I've got a second doorway, I've pulled out some old crates that I made a long time ago. I've got a treasure chest from the old Mordheim accessory sprue. We also got a couple of barrels. There's a stack of 3 barrels that I'm really happy with because I've had these resin barrels just lying around unpainted for a really long time. This is part of the reason I wanted to do 3D Gloomhaven. Not only does it make a little bit more interesting visual experience, but also it gives me an opportunity to paint some of this weird stuff that I can use in other games. In the top center, you also see a terrain piece that's going to be used in the map, which is a bucket filled with black goop and arms and legs. It's half of an old pewter citadel barrel with some arms and legs from the Warhammer zombie sprue just stuck into a glob of green stuff. It's an oddly specific terrain piece. I can't imagine I'll use it in that many games, but I like that I have it. We're also swapping out some bad guys for this scenario. We're not using the Vermling/Skaven anymore. The bad guys are Zealots, for which I'm using the old Warhammer Flagellants, and Giant Vipers, so I had to go and buy some snakes from the Lizardmen Serpent Swarms. These guys I set up with magnets so that I can stick them on a large base and use them for Warhammer. Kinda like what I did with the giant bats from the Warhammer Quest game. So here's the map all set up and ready to play, the terrain all set up, as well as the bad guys. My 2 characters, Hugo Chasseur, the Hatchet, and Verdia, the Demolitionist, are set up in the upper left. There are a number of things that have been added to this scenario since this is a kind of learn as you play introductory series of games. Both characters get 2 new cards. Verdia gets Wind Up and Crushing Weight. Hugo gets Retrieval and The Favorite. They also have items now. Verdia has a Stamina Potion and Weathered Boots. Hugo has a Stamina Potion and the Eagle Eye Goggles. We're now going to be recording experience. We got a bunch new rules about active bonuses, shields, conditions. We can now take long rests. They've added jump rules, and they've added difficult terrain. The hexes outlined in purple are all difficult terrain. So entering a purple hex requires 2 points of movement rather than 1. None of that is really too crazy. It's just elaborating on what we've already been doing. Our immediate concern is that in the area that we're starting in, we've got 2 Zealots that we have to deal with before moving through the first door. These Zealots have 6 health each, so it seems like a bad idea to go rushing in there because I'm probably not going to kill them off in my initial attacks. So Hugo goes and chooses Retrieval and Double Throw for his initial 2 cards. That gives him an initiative of 46. Verdia goes a little faster with Explosive Blitz and Wind Up. Explosive Blitz is a nice long-ranged attack. The Zealots draw from their action cards, their basic Zealot cards, and they get Boil Blood, which will give them an initiative of 46. Boil Blood means that they're not going to move, but they are going to have a range 2 attack. That's kind of cool for a number of reasons. First off, both Hugo and the Zealots have an initiative of 46, but Hugo is going to go first because that's what characters do. Next off, both my guys have longer ranged attacks, so we can just hang out here and pelt the lead Zealot and be out of range for their counterattacks. So to start things off, Verdia goes and uses the top action of Explosive Blitz. That's attack to range 4. Unfortunately for the attack modifier card, we get a -1, and so only do 1 point of damage to the lead Zealot. She's then going to use the bottom action of Wind Up. That means she gets to double the value of the next move action she makes. We're then going to Hugo. It was my intention to move him up and use Double Throw to fire an axe at both of those guys, but if I do that, I'm going to take an attack from at least one of them, and I think it's probably safer to just stay here. So we don't use a move action at all. We just use the top action of Double Throw just on the 1 Zealot in range. Hugo does a little bit better and draws a +1 card for his attack modifier, and so we do a total of 3 damage, so that brings the damage on the Zealot up to 4. They take their activation, they don't move, nobody's in range. Yeah, Boil Blood is attack +1 and causes muddle. I don't really want to get hit with that. So we end the round, and we're going to have a more aggressive turn this round. Verdia goes with Knock Out the Support and Crushing Weight for her cards, giving her initiative of 20. Hugo goes with Close Cuts and Stopping Power for an initiative of 25. Unfortunately, the Zealots draw Hex Whip. Hex Whip has an initiative of 19, which means that they're going first. That is a move +0, attack -1, so no big deal there, but it does give you a curse when it hits. A curse just adds another null card to your attack modifier deck, giving you additional chances of missing. So the first Zealot moves up and focuses on Verdia because she has the lowest initiative. The Zealot draws a +0 attack modifier card, so Verdia is going to take 1 point of damage and get cursed. The other Zealot can't quite move far enough to get into range to attack, so just moves up as far as it can. So Verdia is up next, and I'm a little disappointed that I went second. My intention was to use the bottom action of knock out the support. Because I had wind up, I would move 4 instead of 2, and that would have taken me all the way over to that crate on the right hand side, and I could have destroyed that and strengthened myself, giving me advantage on my attack modifier cards. So I can't really do that, which is a drag. So instead, I am just going to use that extra movement to scoot all the way around the second Zealot, the unhurt one. And I'm going to use Crushing Weight, which is really one of the better cards in the Demolitionist deck. It's an attack 3 card, but I get +2 attack and gain an experience point if my target is next to a wall, which this guy is. So that's going to be attack 5. I draw a +1 for my attack modifier card, which is absolutely perfect. That puts it up to 6 points of damage, which instantly kills that guy, and I gain an experience point. My first one ever. So now it's Hugo's turn. I'm going to use Stopping Power first for a very particular reason. It's a ranged attack and I'm currently adjacent to an enemy, so I'm at disadvantage, but that's okay. I draw a +1, -1 from my attack modifier cards. I have to choose the worst one, so I take the -1, but Stopping Power is still an attack 3, so I still do 2 points of damage, which again is exactly enough to kill off this lead Zealot. That means we've got 2 coins on the ground because these guys drop money when they get killed. And so I'm going to use the bottom action of Close Cuts, which is move 4, loot 1. So I just move to the left of Verdia right there. I loot 1, which allows me to pick up all the nearby money. And I'm going to call that a successful turn. So it's a new round. There are no monsters in my section, and I have to move through this door. So I'm pretty much just picking my big movement cards. Hugo takes the Favorite and Second Wind. Verdia takes the big one and Implode. That's going to have Hugo go first at initiative 17 and Verdia go on 88. Hugo's going to use the bottom action of Second Wind and its mighty movement of 5 to go in the door there. That's going to open up that big room with 2 Vipers and another Zealot. So that means we have to draw their behavior cards. The Zealots get Vile Scourge, which is move -1, attack -1 with poison. That guy's stuck behind some difficult terrain. He's not actually going to be able to go anywhere this round. Of more consequence are the Giant Vipers. They get Toxic Frenzy, so they are move +1 with jump. So not only are they going to be move 3, but they are also going to be able to ignore all the difficult terrain. Then they're going to throw an attack -1 at all adjacent enemies. The Zealot is going to go on 77, the Vipers are going to go on 43. They're both going to go before Verdia does. I don't see any reason to move Hugo further into that room and get attacked by those Vipers, so I'm just going to stay there and I am going to use the Favorite. The Favorite is kind of a weird card. It's a lost card, but it does give me 2 experience points. I'm going to put a token on this card, and at any time I can add +3 attack to any of my ranged attacks by moving the token onto the monster I'm attacking. I can't do the ability again until I've looted that token, which will fall on the hex where the monster dies. So kind of a strange card, but perfect for this case where I don't want to move into range of the other monsters, and I can just sort of prep a more powerful attack for later on. Anyway, speaking of the monsters, the Vipers go and boing forward over the sludge on the floor of this ship. As planned, they are not in range to attack Hugo. And of course, the Zealot is stuck behind that sludge and can't actually go anywhere because he is move -1, which drops his movement down to 1, and it takes 2 points of movement to get into a difficult terrain hex. So cool. So we're over to Verdia, who has kind of a cool turn set up. Verdia is going to use the bottom action of the big one, which is a move 3, push 1, and she's going to use that to hop forward and then push the lead Viper into that trap, which I love doing. First off, it's funny seeing monsters fall into their own traps. Second off, it clears off the trap so I don't have to deal with it later. It means I'm not going to be in range to use the top action of my other card, Implode, but hey, it does bounce the snake backward. It's going to take 3 points of damage for going into the trap. These Vipers only have 3 points of damage, so snap trap, Viper's dead. Good turn. So, new round, and each of my characters only has 2 cards left in their hand, so it's not real hard figuring out which ones I'm going to use. Verdia goes with Piston Punch and 1-2 Punch for initiative of 42. Hugo goes with Center Mass and Disorienting Barrage for initiative of 24. The Zealot gets Drain Life, initiative 27. It's Heal 1 self, he's not hurt, that doesn't matter. It's Move +1, Attack -1 at range 2. The Vipers go real fast on 18 with Find Cover. Again, sort of a strange one. It's Move +1 with Jump, Attack -1, and all attacks targeting the Giant Viper gain disadvantage. So the Vipers are going to go first, and they are closest to Verdia, so it hops forward and attacks her. Fortunately, it draws the Null card, so the attack totally misses. Unfortunately, the Viper does have the Poison attribute for all of its attacks, so Verdia is poisoned, meaning she's going to take +1 damage every time she gets hit. Still could be worse. Hugo is next in the initiative order. He is going to start by using the bottom action of Disorienting Barrage. This allows him to move 2, he's only going to move 1 in this case, but the other part of this that I often forget is that it's going to cause 1 point of damage to all adjacent enemies, so the Giant Viper right there takes a point of damage. We're then going to use the top action of Center Mass, which is an attack 3, range 3 on that Zealot. I draw a +0 from my attack modifier card, which means I now have the option of using the Favorite. Remember that top action I played last round? Anyway, yeah, I go and do that because that means I will add 3 damage and instantly kill this Zealot. So I go and place the token over there. I do +3 damage. That kills the Zealot. The Zealot drops his coin and the Favorite token in the hex over there, which is not super convenient. But still, Zealot's dead. Verdia is now going to go, and we're going to use the top action of 1-2 Punch on this snake in front of us. The snake only has 2 health left, so I'm pretty confident this is going to kill it off. For the first attack, I draw a -1, so that does 1 point of damage. But the second attack modifier card is a +1, so that's going to do more than enough to kill that off. I then use the bottom action of Piston Punch just as a basic 2 move, and I just step forward onto the coin that the snake just dropped when I killed it. So that's it for the turn because the Zealot doesn't get to go because he's super dead. I am completely out of cards in hand, and so I choose to use my new Long Rest ability because there's no one here that's going to attack me while I take a little nap. At the time I was really mad because I thought I had messed up. Both these guys have stamina potions, and I thought, if I'd only used the stamina potion my turn before, I wouldn't have had to long rest right now. I believe the way the math works out is that if you use your stamina potions early and get a longer span of time before you have to take rests early on, it's more helpful. It gives you more rounds with a larger hand size, which means the rounds last longer, and it just helps preserve your deck. What I didn't realize was that stamina potions are different in this game than they are in the basic Gloomhaven game. In the basic Gloomhaven game, a minor stamina potion gives you 2 cards from your discard pile back into your hand. In this game, you only get 1. So it wouldn't have helped. I still would have had to take a rest. Each of the characters gets a +2 heal. None of us have taken any damage, but that does cure Verdia's poison. Verdia goes and loses the card Piston Punch, and Hugo loses the card Disorienting Barrage. So it's time for the next turn. There's no monsters in here, and the other door is kind of a long ways away. So there's no reason to choose any good attack cards, and so we're just looking for movement cards right now. Hugo goes and takes Second Wind and Double Throw for an initiative of 18. Verdia goes with Wind Up and Implode for an initiative of 77. First off, Hugo is going to use that nice move 5 from Second Wind to move over to the hex where the Zealot died, and he's going to loot his favorite token and that piece of treasure that the Zealot dropped. Verdia is going to use the bottom action of Implode to just move a tiny amount, and then use the top action of Wind Up to give her +2 attack to her next 2 attacks. And of course she grabs the treasure that she moved onto. So new round, and again attack cards don't really matter, we're just looking for movement. Hugo is going to go with Retrieval and Stopping Power for an initiative of 35. Verdia is going to go with Explosive Blitz and 1-2 Punch for an initiative of 19. Verdia is up first, and she uses the move 4 from Explosive Blitz to go and loot the treasure chest in this room. So looking up what the treasure chest gives us, we find out that we get a Fateful Compass. The Fateful Compass is kind of cool. It's a small item that allows us to make one monster within range 3 move 2 hexes. In the basic Gloomhaven game, I've seen this item used really well to get people within range, to have them walk onto traps, all kinds of nice stuff. Unfortunately, you can only use it once per adventure, and I'm at my maximum small item limit, and I don't really see myself surrendering the stamina potions for this. So unless I want to sell this, I think it's just basically going to go into storage. Hugo is next to go. His best movement card right now is Stopping Power, so he uses that to go 3 hexes, well 2 after you take into account the difficult terrain. He's an extra card down because he lost the favorite card when he activated that, so we're going to use his stamina potion to retrieve Second Wind, get that movement 5 back in action. New round, Verdia goes with the big one and knock out the support for initiative of 20. Hugo goes with Second Wind and Center Mass for initiative 18. That lets Hugo move across the room and grab that last loose treasure piece over by the wall on the far side. Verdia is going to use the bottom action of the big one to move right up to the door. Then she's going to take her stamina potion. She's going to retrieve Explosive Blitz from the discard pile. Hugo only has 1 card left, so he is going to short rest. We lose a random card and we lose retrieval, which is fine. So it's time to bust into the last room and see what these crazy people are up to with their snakes and their goop and stuff. Verdia is going to go with Explosive Blitz and Crushing Weight, the only 2 cards she has left in her hand. That'll be an initiative of 19, and Hugo is going to beat that by 1 with Second Wind and Double Throw. Unfortunately for Hugo, even with that nice movement of Second Wind, I can't quite get around that trap and open the door. So instead, like a champ, I'm just going to run straight through the trap. I'm going to take 3 points of damage, but that does let me get into the door and get in position to fire Double Throw at these 2 jerks inside here. We do have to draw their behavior cards first. We find out that the Zealot is going to be doing the Vile Scourge, and the Viper is going to be doing Toxic Frenzy. Both of those are pretty good actions. But first I get to do my pretty good action, which is the top action of Hugo's Double Throw. This is an attack 2, range 3, target 2 action. Against the Zealot, we draw a +0, and so it's going to take 2 points of damage. The Viper, we're also going to draw a +0 for 2 points of damage, but that's not quite good enough for me. I really want this Viper to die. So I'm going to use my favorite token and just polish him off with a +3 attack. That brings us to Verdia. She's going to use her Explosive Blitz movement for +1 because she's going to activate her Weathered Boots. That's going to allow her to hop onto this coin right next to this last Zealot here. I've got plenty of health and plenty of cards remaining. If I really wanted to, I could just sit there. We could collect that 1 coin that the snake just dropped, keep this guy alive for a little bit. How bad can it be? But I've got a really good attack keyed up, and I really want to use it, so I'm going to use Crushing Weight. That's at attack 3 +2 if the opponent is next to a wall, which it is. I'm also +2 to damage because I've been winding this up for like the last half hour. That's a real nice attack 7 punch that I've got coming at this guy's head. I can't pass that up. But I go and draw an attack modifier of -2, but guess what? It still doesn't matter. I might only clip him in the ear, but it's still enough to just take off his whole head. 5 points of damage plus the 2 that he already took. Yep, that guy is finished off. All the monsters have dead, and I have successfully claimed this slimy, disgusting boat. So alright, another mission successfully down. In these learn to play scenarios, I think it's actually going to be pretty hard to fail those. Still, with the bonuses from completing the scenario and all that, Verdia is going to pick up 6 gold and earn a whole 8 experience points. We're also going to start doing perks now, so she's going to get 1 perk to start with, and she chooses adding an extra +2 attack modifier card. Hugo got himself 8 gold and also earned 8 experience points, and he's going to add a +2 plus the wind element attack modifier card to his deck. So that's not really enough for me to buy any items or go up a level or anything like that, but we do have one thing we have to do besides all that, and that is we have introduced city events now, so we draw a city event card for the first time. These are just random little things that happen in the town of Gloomhaven. It gives you a small choice, and it'll give you a small benefit or a disadvantage. Anyway, the card we get has this crazy guy talking in front of a spiritual sacred tree in Gloomhaven, and he wants us to give money to it. He wants us to donate to the Sanctuary of the Great Oak. Well, you have a choice of doing it or not. I was never really big into doing this in the regular Gloomhaven game, but I'm worried about what would happen if I choose not to, so I go and I give him the money. I have to lose 5 gold, but my characters get blessed for the next game. I think in general I'd rather have the money. Anyway, that's it for this game. Let me know if you have any questions, observations, or concerns, and I will see you on the next one.